What's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Profiling Passionate People. I am your host, Solomon Ladvinka. And as you can kind of see, I'm donning the the Dolphins. I got the Miami Marlins hat with a little tribute to my guy, Jose Fernandez. Rest in peace to that beautiful soul. But today, I got a Dolphins fan that I'm going to be bringing in here. You've already seen him, that wonderful, inspirational story. And hopefully you guys have listened to his story already and lost weight like himself. The man who has lost probably close to almost 100 pounds. Oh, the magician as well. The Dolphins fan, Mr. Andy Garces. And what we got going on here? Oh, a little teaser to our next segment with him. Okay. What you got? Oh.
Bad angle from the camera, but
Hey. Nice. I love it. My man, second time go around. You're rocking the Tua jersey. How are we doing?
Dude, we're doing good, man. Honestly, this preseason, it's a nice little taste of football. I wouldn't consider it real football because it's mostly second and third stringers playing, but it's also nice to look at the rookies and see who might contribute this year and who needs to step up their game as well.
I mean, the first week of preseason, we already saw Tua do his thing, a nice long pass to Mike Gesicki. So I don't know, this Dolphins team and me looking over this roster, and I'm sure you're very well knowledge of this upcoming season and their schedule. You guys could be doing some promising things this year.
So it just depends on health of these. We have 11 or 12 receivers that are playing. We're not going to keep all of them. That's too many, but it just depends on the health, because last year, if you look at the tape, look at the stats, he didn't have somebody who could legit catch it intermediate or short route. He had a few like 50-50 guys in Devontae Parker and all that, but he didn't have a reliable slot guy or somebody. So hopefully this year in Waddle, or sometimes if Fuller plays in the slot, or if he can get more to Gesicki like you saw the other day, he's able to stretch the field, not just deep, but short. And it would be a good change to see a good quarterback play this year. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, Tua's now the guy. There isn't no Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm sure Matt Moore is somewhere on the depth chart somewhere because he never seems to retire.
Right, he's somewhere there.
Or fades
Practice
away.
squad. Yeah.
So I've known you for a while now. I've always known that you've been a Dolphins fan, but I mean, you being out here in SoCal, how did you become a Dolphins fan?
Oh, that's weird you ask, but actually not really, because I guess people think it's weird that I'm a Dolphins fan. But 2008, that'll be the year I give you. And if you're watching this because you follow football, you remember. Let me remind you, 2008 was the Dolphins' year where they ran the Wildcat, and for some weird reason, I know he's been injured a lot, but it's weird that Pennington had one season where he wasn't injured. He played to a decent accuracy. He never had the long ball, but he played accurate and got us to, like, I think 11 or 10 wins, enough to win the division. And it wasn't just a bandwagon thing. I didn't know if they were going to be good or not. I watched the whole season from the first game. And I'm a Dolphins fan because my dad used to always watch them, and he still watches them with me, but he used to watch them by himself. And I was never really into watching sports. I have a lot of ADHD. I still have ADHD, but back then I didn't know I had it, and it was really bad. So I had to be on the field playing a sport to really enjoy it. I didn't like watching others on a screen going back and forth. It just, to me, if I wasn't there sweating or doing something, it was just boring. And once I got older in high school, I started to change my mindset a little bit. That was my senior year. And so I was like, yeah, I can appreciate. That's also when I started giving black and white films a chance. Like I like Psycho. That's one of my favorite films of all time, but I never gave it a chance till senior year because it'd be on TV. But black and white film, let me just change that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, my mindset changed. So I decided to sit down with my dad, and I watched the first couple of games. I think we lost to the Jets the first game, but it was a very close. It was Brett Favre Jets, and we were very close to winning that game, but we still lost. I think it was a field goal difference. I could be wrong. And I think we lost the second game. I don't know if we went 0-2 or 0-3, but then I think it was the Patriots game that really sparked a nice win streak, and I was there for that, and it was cool because my dad had bought the NFL ticket,
Okay.
and so it was nice to be able to sit down at home and watch the games with him or whatever, you know. But anyways, like that's also the same year where I got my first. So I must have been 17, turning 18, but this is when I got my job.
Okay.
I was working at Hometown Buffet, and I was a carver. I would carve the meats for people, and so I didn't have my Sundays as free as I wanted to anymore. So I remember the last game. It wasn't very many games I missed. I probably missed 2 or 3, but it was the most important ones. It was playoffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was the game that was going to get us into playoffs or kick us out. It was against the Jets again, redemption game.
Oh.
And we beat Brett Favre this game, and we got
Hey.
into the playoffs, and I think I was able to watch that playoff game live, but that game that was against Favre, I couldn't watch it. I was working. My dad was giving me updates, and like I
Oh.
couldn't believe what was happening through the updates either, because I would hear, oh, Brett Favre scores. I'm like, freaking A. And then I hear like that we just score a 40 or 50, because again Pennington doesn't throw the 40 or 50-yard touchdown. Like, whoa, and we're up again. It's like it was tense, and then we won. So I mean, we didn't really win anything far that year. We lost to the Ravens. I saw that loss. My bad. Now that I remember, we played the Ravens that year and we lost, and I had hope for that game. And yeah, right, dude. Whether Flacco is a good quarterback or not, that defense is always pretty elite. So I mean, he did enough, and they beat us.
Yeah. I mean, anytime that I hear of Wildcat, I think of Ronnie Brown. And honestly, when that team came about with the Wildcat, it just brought this brand new offense, this brand new dynamic that no one had seen. You guys ran all over the Patriots, the Bill Belichick Patriots, and no one had an answer. And that's why that team was able to succeed and win those games and eventually get to the playoffs. And I've always had a special love for the Dolphins. My grandmother, she lives down in the Miami area. I've been to a couple of their games out there against my Titans. And I mean, you mentioned sweating earlier. Whew. You ever go down to Hard Rock Stadium during like the September time, like I did for opening day? Jeez Louise, it is a nightmare. I actually went to the longest game in NFL history, where it was the opening game against the Titans, and there were
Yes.
two separate, like 2.5, 3 hour thunderstorm delays. And where we were sitting at, if you guys are familiar with the Hard Rock Stadium, it's this gigantic square, and the tarp above barely covers like the lower level seats where we were sitting at. So my grandmother was able to get a garbage bag, what are those, ponchos, and I had this picture of her getting soaked in her poncho. But the fact of the matter was that it was opening day, it was the second quarter, and there was no way that we were going to leave. And so,
Oh no, that was like a 7-hour game, right?
yeah, it was a very long day. And leading up to
I
the
remember that.
day, my grandmother actually locked the keys in her car. So yeah, we weren't going anywhere anytime soon. But
Did they start offering discounts on concessions or food? Like, that's the least they could do when you're, freaking stuck there. It's like, hey, like everything is like 10% off or whatever.
nope, I still paid full price for my stadium empanadas, and my beer was still the same price. So
Freaking capitalists.
basically. But I mean, that stadium, those fans, they're just so passionate. And like I said, when I knew that I needed a fan for the Dolphins, I knew that I got to rock my guy from Bakersfield, former punter Matt Darr. I grew up with this kid ever since junior high. So getting to throw on the retro on-field jersey, I got the Dolphins logo. You got Tua on right there. And
I do
mean,
have Tua.
yeah, man, I'm really excited for you guys' team. And like I said, just looking at the record, you guys went, I believe it was 10-6 last season, just barely missed the potential wild card spot to get into the playoffs last season. But you look at this upcoming season, and you guys are absolute contenders in my eyes against the Bills. I feel that you guys will be able to sweep both the Patriots and the Jets. And honestly, I can see you guys going 11-6 or 12-5. So
If we can get Tua to place, because again, we're going to be real about his strengths and weaknesses. When he throws a deep ball, he puts his whole arm into it. He's not the strongest guy,
yeah,
but he's super accurate and his touches there will put it in places that most quarterbacks can't. So I mean, if he can play somewhat of like a Russell Wilson or Drew Brees, I'll be content. I don't need him to be throwing. Even Peyton Manning didn't have the strongest arm; he was just deadly accurate. If he can play somewhat like those guys and not so much like I don't know, Deshaun Watson, which is who we're calling for. I guess there was a lot of trade rumors that Dolphins should get Sean. Just why put all your eggs in one basket and spend all your finances and trades and picks and stuff like that? We have Tua. Give him a couple years.
Yeah. I mean, coming out in the draft, they called him the second coming of Dan Marino. And he's got all the poise, clearly made it happen in college, still making the transition to the NFL level. He brings back a versatile weapon in Jalen Waddle. I mean, that deep ball that he threw to win the championship to Devontae Smith, Slim Reaper. I mean, you have another speedster in Jalen Waddle, and then you bring in Will Fuller. Like, honestly, there's so many games that I'm circling, not even as a Dolphins fan, just as an NFL fan, because it has so much sparks and it has so much excitement leading up to those games. And of course, you and I got January 2nd circled, week 17 out of the 18-week season, Titans and Dolphins. So
this is going to be for the marbles, Ryan Tannehill and against Tua, and
I'm still not a fan of Tannehill, and I think this is all still
Derrick Henry
roller coaster. Yeah, I mean, if you stop Derrick Henry, I don't know. That's a different topic. We're here to talk about your team, but I mean, you look at the weapons. Should they all stay healthy? Waddle coming off of an injury out of Alabama. There's a lot of speculation of how he's going to make the transition to the NFL, but I have no doubt in my mind this guy is going to be great. Will Fuller, like I said, is going to be amazing.
A sleeper, I mean, not so much a sleeper because he's kind of known, but he's forgotten about, is Albert Wilson. That fool is gonna. I predict a good year. I mean, if you're playing fantasy, I would late rounds pick him up if he's there. I don't know. I probably after the 10th or 11th round, but he's gonna be good value, and because he skipped last year because of COVID, but the previous 2 years he was a really amazing deep threat. Just look at the game against the Broncos in 2018.
Yeah.
And yeah, but he apparently for training camp he's catching 70-yard touchdowns every day. So hopefully that continues in regular season, not just practice. But it makes sense if they're playing with the stacked receiver core, who's going to guard that third or fourth receiver, So it makes sense if he's getting open for those long, because he's not the primary number one guy.
And
I don't think. Yeah.
And we cannot sleep on Devontae Parker either. You talk about a late pick for fantasy. I picked him late, back-to-back seasons, last season, the season before, and he turned into a starter for me. That boy is so underrated. Kind of reminds me like a T. Higgins, like with the Bengals, but he can ball out and give you like 18 to 20, 21 points a week. So you can't sleep on Devontae. You bring in Will Fuller. You got Jalen Waddle. You got Mike Gesicki. Then you look at your defense. You guys re-sign Xavier Howard. I mean, this team is just so stacked.
Here's another fantasy thing. I agree. Devontae Parker going to be a gem. Monitor Preston Williams. He should be on IR for a few weeks of the season, so don't get him, but monitor him because Parker will get less reps when he does play. So I would pick him up once he starts to get healthy just put him on your bench. You'd have both of them and just monitor who's getting the catches, because Parker's going to be the number one guy. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, he's going to be the number one guy.
Yeah, and I love the direction that this team is going. You bring in Brian Flores last season, clearly has control of the team. The players love him because he is a player's coach. They clearly rally behind his momentum and his leadership. And so you bringing him in to year two. You know, the Patriots are still rebounding in the AFC East after all those seasons with Tom, but the Dolphins and the Bills, I feel it could be a toss up of who can win the East.
You just made me really happy talking about my coach like that, because it's like, it's great to just think that, because just remembering Adam Gase. Oh, what a mess that was. He's a locker room mess, and he's brought that mess to the Jets, and I don't know where he's assistant. Sir, I think he's a high school coach now, but he's not on the Dolphins, so let's forget about him. But what I do want to say is, mad props to Brian Flores. You know, if you look at Xavier Howard's new contract, it's not like the Dolphins budged and gave him a lot more money. And I don't need to there's a lot of specifics that I may not know, but what I do know is they just gave him his guaranteed money from the future years and gave it to him now.
Yeah.
As well as they're guaranteeing like half the money next year unless he's injured, then it's fully guaranteed. Then there's just a few things, but they also said that depending on this year, they'll negotiate a new contract next year. So, but the fact that if they really think this is a make it or break it year, this could be the year they need him for this year. The fact that they haven't signed on and made him happy when let's be real. Oh, and for Adam Gase wouldn't have made him happy. The guy would have been gone. Everybody left with Adam Gase. But like even with Brian Flores, they got rid of Minka. They didn't want to get rid of Minka, but the guy heavily was a drama queen, requested a trade. His mom got involved. You better trade my son. Yeah. Blah blah blah. So it's like, you know, he's probably really great on the Steelers, but he didn't want to rebuild with us and take his time. He wanted to win then. And so I guess as players' mentality is they have to, you don't play to lose. I get it, but you also stick there with your team even during the losses. I don't know how to explain it, but so Xavier Howard wasn't like that. He showed up to camp. He didn't pout. Sure, he did make a statement. Sure, there was questions like, is he serious? Is he gonna just not play? Like, does he hate the team? But he just felt like he feels he's the top cornerback in the league, and he said he's no disrespect to his teammate Byron Jones because he's their boys. He said, well, he's my boy and he supports me with this 100% of what I'm doing. He supports me. We've talked, so you're not going to pin us against each other. He said, but he said but I'm the second highest paid corner on my own team and I'm the best in the league. So like I just need to be somewhat compensated. Yeah. And you talk to Byron Jones, he repeats that and he goes, he's my boy, you know, whatever he's going through, I support him. So
yeah, Xavier Howard, he's a beast. That boy can ball out, and like I said, it's just going to be really interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of games. As a Dolphins fan, I'm sure, and even an NFL fan, you can just circle on the schedule, the opening week. Who knows who's going to be under center for the Patriots? But you guys go into Foxborough, going to be facing off either against Cam or against Mac Jones. But you have a fully healthy roster with Tua at the helm. There's no questions anymore. And Brian Flores going back to Foxborough, you know dang well he is going to want to perform well against Bill Belichick.
I'm worried about a couple roster pieces. One, our O-line, very young, and the preseason, they need to get better, so we'll see how it goes. Monitor them, but that's one. Two, running back, we don't have a stud, but Flores will never say this. He specifically said this. He said, we would use our backs differently in each situation that suits their talents. Sure. But what that tells me is he's going the Bill Belichick way where there is no number one back. They tried Sony Michel, but he's not really a number one back. He's good. Yeah. But they like their Rex Burkheads and their, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got
James White's.
Yeah, Myles Gaskin, Malcolm Brown. So
I'm a little like, and then so running back, O-line, and those are important. And the last is linebacker. Obviously, corners were stacked for some reason. We have like just as many corners as we do receivers, but we still have holes, and we'll see how they fix it before the games start. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic, and I want my team to win, and we'll see how they do.
Absolutely. All right, my man. So 17-game season. How many wins do you think you guys are going to do, and how do you think it's going to play out?
So after me saying I'm a realist, let's see. Well, okay, let's do this logic, and I'll give you some reasons. Logic being that we won 10 games last year in a 16-game season.
Yeah.
I could see us matching that because our defense didn't get any worse, and our defense won pretty much those games. Tua was a rookie making mistakes, so Tua cleans his mistakes. I could see us winning one more game. I could see us at 11 wins and six. What is it? Yeah, 6 losses if Tua plays accurate.
Yeah.
You know.
I right now I see it 11-6, 12-5, and if not winning the East, scraping out like a 5 or a 6 seed in a wild card spot. So
it'd be unrealistic to think I mean, it'd be cool and it might happen, but it'd be unrealistic to think we sweep Buffalo. But it would just be nice to, by the end of the season, having learned how to defend Josh Allen and beating him once, being like, okay, we learned the system. Okay, we're able to force him to do these throws that he doesn't not very, talented with, whatever it is, whatever, everybody, they even make Roethlisberger look like crap sometimes, and he's not a crap quarterback. He's one of the elites. And
yeah, in my opinion, you mentioned Minka, you mentioned the Steelers, and I feel that this upcoming season, though the Steelers defense is stellar, I feel that offense is on a decline, and I've never really been a big fan of Big Ben, and honestly, I don't even see the Steelers winning the North, let alone making it to the wild card. So
they didn't do enough for him, huh? How sad. They're doing an Eli Manning where they're just like letting him rot in his team, and
I mean, honestly, he's doing it to himself because he won't retire. I get it. You have the love of the game, but you know Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. So.
I think we do play Tom Brady this year. So we'll see if I don't want to bring age into it, but I want to see if after so many years, two years removed from the AFC, if we can play against him still, or if he's gonna beat us. I don't want to obviously beat us, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. All right, brother man. Really appreciate you always. Again, catch his weight loss motivational speech. That was our first episode with him. This obviously being the second with the Dolphins. The magician, we're going to be bringing him on here very soon for that. Until then, Mr. Andy Garces, much love to you. Keep on looking great, my man. And until then, guys, stay passionate, and we'll catch you guys next time, all right?
Thanks for having me. Fins up.
Fins up. Later, guys.
Later,